I don't hear my tinnitus. Hello, my name is Terry. I'm a tinnitus sufferer since 1974. This is a video explaining a coping treatment method called Back to Silence that I use to cope with my tinnitus. This video is divided into two parts. I'll start with the short version so you can return here and review the few steps required to perform the method correctly. So here goes. Number one, stop reacting to your tinnitus the old way and decide to make a change. Number two, when your tinnitus is intrusive, tell yourself, I hear it. I feel whatever your emotion is. Number three, it's very important to write down or make good guesses how many new responses you're going to make daily. And the last one, number four, along with the number of responses you make, take note of your emotion. You don't have to necessarily write down the emotion every time, but please realize your emotions are going to change over time. Those are the four steps. In my case, the first sign something was changing for the positive, I noticed my energy was up. I just felt better. All over. In only a few weeks, my responses were becoming fewer and fewer. Why? Because I was just responding less and less. I kept track of this. Now over a year since I started doing this method, I'm 99.9% tinnitus free. And that's the end of part one. If you have tinnitus, you might want to spend 10 minutes on the second part. This is part two of this Back to Silence video. It includes my history and my personal battle with tinnitus. Maybe you can relate. I'm also including a more in-depth look at the method, steps 1 through 4, and give you tips for success. So excuse me for reading these notes. I have so many good things to tell you, I really do. My tinnitus started in both ears in '74. I was a kid who loved loud music and loud cars. We were kids, we used to pay extra money to go into the pits at the drag races and for thrills stand behind these dragsters like 1,000 cannons going off and do this weekend after weekend. We played awful loud music when we were kids, headphones, drums, guitars. When we played dances on the weekends, oh Lord, it was so loud we couldn't hear the drums. We started amplifying the drums even. I'd spend the rest of the weekend with my hearing half gone and loud ringing in both ears. Come Monday, I'd be right back at it again. My parents warned me, saying you will go deaf, but no one told me about tinnitus, the relentless, never-ending hissing and ringing in your head 24/7. In my senior year of high school, I knew I had a serious ear problem, and I knew the cause. Unfortunately, I sensed that my tinnitus was very slowly getting worse. So as I did in my younger years, I started asking doctors about it again. Some doctors said, I'm sorry, there's no cure. Some prescribed pills, drops, and drugs. They didn't help, not me. It seemed like all I could do was think about this sound in my head. And I started getting weird. When people talked to me, I couldn't pay attention. I was obsessed with the tinnitus. It was taking me over. I was always wondering if it was getting louder or changing frequencies or going from side to side. And it was just draining me of energy. And I was worried all the time. Then something really neat happened. I went online to tinnitustalk.com. And I learned from this nice lady about this method of coping with tinnitus. And it worked for me. I'd say the majority of sufferers there report loud sounds in their personal history. I hope your case is like mine and your success can come too. I love music so much, I really wanted this to work, so I stuck to it. I tried a lot of other cures and things, they were short-lived, but this back to silence method works for me. It didn't take long. My new responses added up to about 40 a day and quickly decreased. Today, about a year and a half after I started the method, I only respond to my tinnitus a couple times a week. Did you hear that? This is crazy. I only hear my tinnitus and respond to it a couple times a week. It's not a cure for tinnitus, not for me. I severely damaged my inner ears a long time ago, but today I've trained myself to not hear it because I've trained myself with this method to respond to it in a new way. Some people who have tinnitus can simply ignore it and get on with their lives, not me. On TinnitusTalk.com, I learned that getting used to tinnitus and having it be less bothersome is called habituation. I could not habituate. My tinnitus was getting worse and really consuming me, and it was a never-ending, it was a downward spiral. I discovered this new method. I did it correctly, apparently. And looking back, I can see the hold tinnitus had on my life. Today I breathe easier, literally breathe easier. I'm relaxed, I feel good. I can smile again most of the time. I live tinnitus free. I know a few people personally and a few online who are having success with this method, and it really makes me glad to know they're feeling better too. So the back to silence method, as I call it, I guess it needs a name. It is founded in science, I found out. I say this because a friend of mine who holds a master's degree and is currently studying for his PhD explained how this works. First, let me say that this method is not medication, it's not meditation, it's not positive self-talk, it's not learning to ignore tinnitus. It's definitely not hocus pocus because it works for me. It's pretty cheap too. A pencil and a paper. My friend knew right away and explained the reason this works when I told him about it. He said, when you respond in this new way, you're redirecting your thoughts, your tinnitus signal, from the inner animal brain, the fight or flight area called the amygdala. It can only fight or run. And I did that for 40 years. But when we acknowledge it, I hear it, and I just feel nervous. It instantly redirects it to the prefrontal cortex, the advanced human brain area. I said, to my friend, wouldn't it be nice if we could just think away a broken leg? And he laughed and said, yeah, it would. But luckily, this does work for tinnitus. So that's my history. Now I'd like to give you more in depth, a little bit, 3 minutes here about how you can step up these 4 steps and make this work. Number 1, again, stop reacting to your tinnitus the old way and decide to make a change. This is the hardest part. Honestly, it's hard. We're constantly checking to see if our tinnitus is changing or getting better or getting worse or louder, moving from ear to ear. Is it worse than yesterday? And on and on. I did that for decades. I did it from 74 to 2014. But I broke this long habit in only a few months. So stop that old stuff. Number 2, when your tinnitus is intrusive, tell yourself, I hear it and I feel whatever. Okay, I pull out my paper and my pencil. I hear it. I just make a mark. Put it in my pocket. If I hear it 2 minutes later, I'll make another mark. I hear it, I feel okay. Paper away. Maybe 10 minutes goes by. I hear it. I'm getting mad. My papers look like this the first few days. All these responses. It's not enough to stop a habit. It has to be replaced with a new habit. So when you normally tell yourself, I wish it would just go away even for a day, or how can I stand this anymore? Or I hope someday they'll have a cure, or I could just scream and cry. Realize this is the time to insert your new response. Acknowledge it. I hear it. I feel so depressed. You got a mark. Please tell yourself your true emotion. Can't say that enough because that's the way this is carried out of this emotional area. The fight or flight, up to where you can, in a whole nother part of the brain, and it's going to file it away. You're going to change your behavior and you're going to change your tinnitus. Some people report that they say, I hear it, I will beat you. I hear it, I'm not taking this anymore. That's not the method. You must tell yourself simply one emotion. So just say, I hear it, I feel depressed. That's good enough. That's good enough. Number 4, along with the number of responses you make, the amount of the responses you make, take note of the emotion. Don't have to necessarily write that down, but do realize your emotions are changing over time. I didn't write them down, but in only a few days once I started this, my emotions, my moods were changing, so I kept marking my marks. I didn't write down my emotion. Did it feel I had to? Maybe you should, I don't know. It's quick. I could sense the physical changes occurring. It was exciting. It was a great time. Looking back, it was a really great time. It was exciting. My little marks on my paper were becoming fewer and fewer, and there was a new spring in my step, a new relaxed feeling, lots more energy, and no thoughts of tinnitus. My mind was on my paper. It was my little reward. But little did I know, it would even get better and better. A year and a half later, wow, it's still getting better. And this is crazy how this works. It's great. And please don't overthink it. Don't wonder why it can't work if you don't try it. And don't wonder how it works while you're trying it. Just try it. Don't beat yourself up if the old habit is hard to break. Don't overthink it. Trust in the method. Don't try to ignore the tinnitus. Just acknowledge it. Trust in the method. The method will do it. I say that because it works for me. I know people it's worked for. Get your paper and pen out. This is my visual aid. Get your paper and your pencil. That's it. Start tomorrow. And do not check to see if your tinnitus is getting better. Don't. That's the old way. Look at your number of responses. Because this might be tomorrow. But in my case, in a few weeks, that's what it looked like. It's crazy. I'm the last person to believe this. My ears are destroyed. I've had this all my life. I don't hear my tinnitus. I don't hear my tinnitus.